Welcome to Thursday, January 18th, 2024. Your Day Weather Podcast brought to you by Hot Springs County Travel and Tourism. Great place to go, Thermopolis, with all the cold and snowy weather. At Thermopolis, you can always find yourself in hot water. Well, the cold air is backing its way back in. This will be true for you folks that live along and east of the Continental Divide and out on into the northern and central plains, as cold air is going to sneak back westward after retreating in many areas yesterday. At the same time, Pacific moisture, another slug of it, is coming through and will collide, and the two air masses working together will produce some areas of snow along and near the mountains and out on into the plains. Strong winds along the Interstate 80 corridor and I-25 corridors of Wyoming, and some gusty winds along I-25 and I-40 across Colorado and into New Mexico. So you'll need to worry about that again, travelers. We're going to continue to see, at least through today, another slug of significant snow in the high country. Yesterday and overnight, the higher mountain ranges saw some good snow again, mainly the mountains along the Continental Divide. Avalanche dangers through the weekend are going to remain very high. So if you're going to be venturing into the back country this weekend, skiing, snowmobiling, you're going to need to pay very, very close attention to avalanche conditions across the Intermountain West. Now, we are going to have rebounding temperatures this weekend. Pacific moisture will come in producing mountain snow showers. We should see the winds back down, so it's really not going to be a bad weekend. So things are going to start to settle down a little bit this weekend, weather-wise. Lots of snow cover. This is a great shot of some wild horses near Rock Springs taken this weekend. You can see that snow has really started to pile up, especially in southern areas of Wyoming along the Interstate 80 corridor, with the basins and valleys seeing some pretty good snow cover. And that snow cover going to be around for a bit and make those nighttime temperatures pretty chilly. Lots of mid and high level clouds continuing to give us great sunrises and sunsets. The satellite photo this morning is showing the wave that started to come in yesterday right here. This little Pacific wave is going to come through. It's kind of hard to see, but there is colder air on the surface. You can see a little bit here. See this little patch of blue here along the Bighorn Mountains? That's the next surge of very cold Canadian air pushing in along the divide, and you can see a lot of cloudiness out here in the eastern Pacific, so there's more Pacific energy and moisture that'll be streaming on through. Here's the backside, that wedge of colder air that's coming in on the backside of the deep trough that's in the northeastern parts of Canada and the northeastern areas of the U.S., while a break in the weather develops here along the Pacific Northwest coast. It gets kind of messy with a high here on the north slope of Alaska, but a low just south of the Aleutians. It's going to just kind of spin around over the next several days, but as we'll see in a minute, will create a strong jet stream wind heading towards the west coast this weekend and into early next week. This is where the winter weather is going to be today. You might be wondering, why is this arc like this? Well, this is right along the Arctic boundary of where that cold air is pushing again, and then that Pacific moisture comes in and collides with that, and you're going to see an area of snowfall right along where the Pacific air meets the very cold air on the ground across the plains. The light blue shows wind chill advisories as that cold air spilled south again, and then we have freeze warnings in effect for the deep south. The pink showing where the heavier snow will be, Montana's mountains and plains. Just about all of Montana going to get into some snow. And focusing closer to home, the pink showing the winter storm warnings in Wyoming's western and southern mountains. We have winter weather advisories, winter storm warnings, high wind warnings, making it a lot of fun again for you I-80 travelers today and through tonight. Wind chill warnings and winter weather advisories for the east as that very cold air comes in, and the brown here showing the high wind warnings. So again, a very busy weather map. This is by tomorrow morning. Anywhere you see gray, temperatures are going to be below zero. So the backing westward of the very cold air takes place today, tonight, and into tomorrow morning. But you can see it gets held up on the divide again. So this is going to be a little bit of a repeat of that cold air pushing in, certainly not as intense as what we saw all over the weekend. But that cold air begins its retreat. But before it does that, this is where the precipitation will fall. There's that arc I just showed you. You can see that the mountains of Colorado, Wyoming, back into the Pacific Northwest, over the next 24 to 48 hours, that's where you're going to see the precipitation, and just about all of it going to be in the form of snow. Then as we get into the weekend, here's the pattern of the stronger jet stream energy hitting the West Coast. However, the systems aren't going to be able to really maintain themselves once they get past the West Coast and the Sierra Nevada. So what we have this weekend is a Pacific pattern. That means temperatures are going to be warmer, but not necessarily a big warm up, but we don't have the influence from up here anymore. The Pacific takes over. The Pacific means more moisture, though, for the West when it comes to the higher elevations. And you can see that. This is the precipitation forecast for the 4-day period of Saturday through Wednesday morning. So this is Saturday through Wednesday morning. You can see that along and west of the divide, moisture is pretty abundant. Washington, Oregon, California, look at down into Arizona, going to be cool and rainy with mountain snow down in Arizona in the southwestern United States. So while you're not into the Canadian air down here, it's going to be cool and moist across the Great Basin in areas west of the divide. As you can see, from this weekend into early next week, not much going on right here, just because the Pacific systems aren't going to be able to maintain themselves. But we also are going to see Pacific air and not Canadian air. So we're going to have a spell to where it won't be really warm, but it won't be really cold either. Temperatures are going to end up being pretty close to seasonal averages. This is by next Thursday. Low pressure systems are coming in and getting a little bit further, but they're not well put together, not really organized. So what this will do is occasionally make it snow in the mountains, kind of off and on, not a lot of weather on the plains with seasonal temperatures. We're going to see an adjustment, and this happens after the big outbreak of very cold weather and winter weather that's hit North America over the last week or so. You're going to see a realignment and an adjustment of the whole weather pattern across the northern hemisphere. That will take about a week. Then I do think we're probably going to kind of reload the cold air in Canada again as we get into just right at the end of January into early February. And that's when we'll look at probably the next transition to colder, stormy weather across the U.S. again. We're kind of in between phases this weekend and through most of next week. Have yourself a great Thursday. We'll see you tomorrow.